The idea of face-to-face sales, and I know we're doing internet marketing, and so the idea is that I get to work behind my computer screen, never talk to anybody, and then just paychecks come in. I found as a sales technique, both for doing affiliate marketing and for doing client getting, that if I'm always selling, like when I'm walking around, if I'm always kind of have my antenna out to make deals with people. Like, so for example, when I go to my dentist, he asked me what I do. I say, well, I make websites rank #1. How are your rankings? And then I sell him something, right? Like if he'll go for it, I did. And that actually is a true story. I went in with a toothache and I walked out with a $1,000 a month deal with my dentist. I think it's important because we can kind of get in this feeling where just in our day-to-day lives, we kind of compartmentalize things. The way I figured this out was when I used to teach Magic, the card game that I used to play, Magic the Gathering. I used to, what I'd have to do in order to create training videos is I'd have to go on Magic Online and play in tournaments. And I decided one day just to put up a little ad on my profile saying, hey, I have an ebook for sale, ask me about it. And what I found out was that in a given week, if I sold 1 or 2 ebooks face-to-face to people, like essentially in chat conversations on Magic Online or in a local game store that I might go to or something like that, I found that my sales really exploded. Like I tended to be much more successful with my email promotions and with my pay-per-click ads and with my SEO and so forth. That everything just tended to convert better at times when I was doing face-to-face sales. And I also want to point out that that almost everybody knows at least one person that they can, make a deal with, somebody from your past that you might be able to make quite a large scale deal with. And the reason I was pointing to Fletch was that he did this in the HVAC market, in the heating, ventilation, air conditioning market. He went from, he was an unemployed construction worker, and he, what he did was he said, well, wait, I used to work in heating, air conditioning. I used to, repair for these companies. Let me go back to them and say, hey, do you want to get more visitors? And that's how he signed up several clients, to quite a large and successful degree. The same way with Steve. Steve just started using his LinkedIn connections and letting them know that he's, really getting very, very good with in this case, with paid advertising with SEO, and landed quite a number of clients that way. So I think that it's just important to keep in mind that you can make face-to-face sales. Okay, internship. Did that make sense to you, Mark, or did that still get a bit off track?
No, that made sense. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. All right, internship. Now, sometimes we get into a place where we feel like we just can't get anybody to bite, and that can be a frustrating place because a lot of times people really will say no to you. The internship is an idea that I've used, and that Abby and Wayne here used. I really advocate this. The idea is just find somebody and do their site for free. Obviously don't incur a bunch of debt. If you're doing paid advertising, they'd still have to pay for your costs for the paid advertising. But even if you're SEOing a site or putting a video up for them, you're spending 20 or 30 bucks out of your pocket, or 50 bucks to get up a site for somebody. And the one thing I would do is I would choose somebody who, A, that you know pretty well, number one, B, that you trust pretty well, and C, somebody who knows other people. Weirdly, family members are actually pretty good for this. So Abby started doing a site for her brother, and Wayne started doing a site for his sister's husband. I actually did this for a local restaurant near me when I was just starting to get back into this stuff. And what happens is just having a successful site that you can point to, and typically what I try to do is try to make a deal with that person where you say, listen, I'll do this amount for free, specify what it is that you will do for them. Like I'll put up a website for you and get it ranked, or I'll put up a video for you and get it ranked, or I'll manage your pay-per-click advertising, or I'll put up a Facebook page for you and start getting some customers to it with Facebook ads or whatever. And then limit the amount that you're doing that, and insist on a testimonial. And this has a surprisingly great effect, because what it lets you do is when you're talking to a new potential client, first of all, you get referrals this way. That's how Wayne made his first deal, and that's also how Abby made her first deal. Is at that point, Abby's brother and Wayne's sister, in this case, actually Wayne's sister's husband, if you can follow that, in each case pointed them, introduced them to somebody who then made, in Abby's case, quite a large deal. So doing this internship, it's really important. It's a really great confidence booster to be able to rank somebody for something. And I know it sounds kind of crazy just to give something away for free that takes a lot of focus and energy.
Well, it helps build your portfolio anyway. If you need one, because you don't have to have a portfolio, but if you do have one or two sites in there, it can make you feel a lot better and a lot easy. It can be a lot easier to go ahead and be confident in what you're doing.
It really does. It really does. And so, just to give you an idea, this was actually posted in the NHB Facebook group just a couple days ago. But Abby actually was able to do this to make a $15,000 deal that will amount ultimately to $20,000 a month, and then she showed her earnings here and so forth. We won't get into that. So the internship is great. Now, speaking of a portfolio, if you weirdly enough, sometimes you almost feel like you can't even land an internship, and at that point, just put up a site. Just pick something and put up a site for something. Brett did this. Brett, who's in the NHB Facebook group as well, he did this. He put up a roofing site he lives in Allentown, Pennsylvania. He put up a site for roofing, and he used it to sell a local restaurateur. He just said, like, I've got this site. When the restaurateur was like, well, who's the site for? He said, no, I just put it up. I'll sell it to somebody when I'm good and ready to do it. But for now, I'm just building it. And the restaurateur was like, well, I would love to have that for my restaurant. Can you do that for my restaurant? That's how he made his first deal. And then he circled around and he actually sold the roofing site down the road. I call this the model home concept. Typically when you have a new real estate development, what they'll do, for new homes, new townhomes, or new houses, they'll typically set one of those houses aside that's especially for people. It's like especially nicely decorated. Nobody lives there. It's a model home. And what you do is you bring new potential customers to that model home so they can imagine, well, what if you lived in a home that was very similar to this? Or maybe you want to have something different. Maybe you want to have a porch or something like that. Build a model home. It's very similar to doing the internship, except this way, no fuss, no muss. And actually somebody who... interestingly enough, Ronell, Mark, you and I were doing a webinar not too long ago for my customers, and Ronell Stewart came on live. He's from New Jersey. Right. And he gave you a testimonial. He's now very, very successful, but he let me know that he got his start with you. He had learned from you in the first place. He bought a Blueprint a couple years back, and funnily enough, the way he got his start from there was building a model home. And getting a start that way. So I wanted to point out just two people who have been successful that way.
So just to explain this, I just want to sort of restate what you've just said.
Absolutely.
Just in examples and see if you agree with me. For instance, then, if you want to start selling website services where you are maybe charging $1,000 per website, you might have one or two different layout examples of websites that you can design or can put together. They might simply be WordPress themes that you install. Heck, you could go to templatemonster.com and buy a theme for $45.
Or you can use a Phila theme. A Phila theme is actually one of my very favorite.
Absolutely.
That's actually one of my very favorite themes. I recommend. Yeah, I recommend that if you don't know what theme to go with, I would definitely go with a Phila theme. And I'm not just saying that because Mark's on the line. It's in all of my training. I always tell people it's a terrific theme.
Yeah, and it's great for building client websites, particularly if that client wants a website that is, relatively straightforward. If it's a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, or whatever, it's an ideal theme. But yeah, all I'm saying is basically you just set up a couple of sample sites. Like you don't even have to have a client that you're doing this site for. You could just basically just do one, set it up, make a pretend, say, doctor's clinic up or something like that, just to use as your model website, and then you're away.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, this is me using a Phila theme for P90X or Insanity.org. This ranks, I think, number 2 or number 3, and it's just a great looking theme. This could easily be used for, like you said, like a doctor, dentist, locksmith, what have you. And it's got this great template maker. Really, really like a Phila theme. I'll show you another example of a site that I've used to make sales. This is Baton Rouge Architects.net. This has no client whatsoever. it ranks for a ton of keywords, and it's just that I've never gotten around to selling it. Just kind of get busy with other projects and so forth. However, I have used this as a tool. I use this as a tool to sell a personal injury attorney. Also, keep in mind, if you don't feel like making something that's local, then go ahead and build an affiliate website. And again, as we pointed out, you can use an affiliate website like P90X or Insanity.org here, an affiliate style site like you're learning with Jetpack and Blueprint, and you can use that as your model home, which was very similar to the first lesson that I taught.
Absolutely, cool.
Okay, great. All right, so that's
and by the way, you can do that as well when it comes to, let's say you're adding another service like Facebook pages or Twitter, or even all sorts of other things. You can you just set up one example of each thing that you offer and you're away.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, Ronell used this. Ronell got his start showing his affiliate or sites that he learned from Mark how to make an affiliate website, and then it was when he got into my training that I started talking about using this day job killer technique to make a lot more money. And so what he did was he just used the sites that were already making him a bit of money with affiliate marketing, and he started using them to sign up clients like crazy. And so really, really effective. Brett and Ronell both use this, very effective. Okay, let's talk about overcoming objections for a minute, because you're going to wind up in a situation with people, and they're going to say to you, "Okay, but what makes you so special?" Is that true to your experience, Mark? That would probably come up at some point. If you're starting to make a sale, but then a customer might say to you, a potential customer.
Well, I know that. I mean, I've done it before, but I don't do local SEO for clients anymore. I have done it before, but when it comes to niche marketing, selling any product, objections, that's all part of closing the sale. There's always going to be objections, whether it be a sale of a digital product or whether it be acquiring a new client. So yes.
Absolutely. Okay, so what I want to talk about is what a technique that we invented. This is the technique that I used with XM Radio, and I think that it's I've used it throughout. I've always used it. I taught this to my customers. Jay and Gary have both particularly had a lot of success with it. It's what I call the one-man gang argument. What I do when I was at that big meeting with all these suits, right, with all the marketing and all that stuff, and then Hugh pulled me aside and he's like, "Well, these guys say that we can go with some other big SEO firm, and they have hundreds of people working for them, and they have secretaries, and they have outsourcers and all this stuff." And I said, well, that's exactly the problem, right? You're going to be paying for secretaries and employees and stuff like that. With me, you're just paying for me. You're paying for a one-man gang. I run lean and mean, and you've seen my results because I was able to show them my results. The things that we're showing you. So you're getting this the same or a better result with me, but you're not paying for a lot of waste. We found that this is the single most powerful argument that an entrepreneur. And in fact, the bigger the business, the more likely this is to work. It's almost the exact opposite that you'd get. Mark, we talked in the past about, in your very, very early beginnings, you had that website that you had and that you sold it, and you wound up in a whole legal battle to try to get it back, and it really caused a snafu for you. And with the law, the more lawyers and stuff like that you have, weirdly, the better, unfortunately, right? So it actually makes it. This argument wouldn't really work in a legal battle, but when it comes to internet marketing, being lean and mean, being a one-man gang is much more important. So I'll give you an example here. This is, pardon me. This is Gary, and Gary wound up. He wound up in a situation that he was doing a small deal, and he found that the business he was working with had deeper pockets than he originally thought. And it wound up being like quite a large business. Gary's in Australia, and at the end of the day, he wound up in a meeting where he was pitted against the two of the biggest SEO firms in all of Australia. So it was him at one. It was all one big group meeting. It was just him at one desk, and then one team at another desk, and then a third team at another desk. Okay, and then the decision maker, the CEO, who's going to decide which do I go with Gary, or do I go with team number one, or do I go with team number two? And what Gary said is, listen, what you want is a one-man gang. You want me because you see what you're paying for. You're paying for that guy's assistant, and you're paying for that secretary, like all this stuff. With me, you're just paying for me. And this is an argument, Steve, who I showed earlier. It's a very, very powerful. It's a very persuasive argument. Jay has used this as well. This is Jay Neal. I have more examples of this, but these are just guys that have made particularly large deals or particularly large number of deals. Jay actually has 10 smaller clients, but it adds up to about $4,000 a month. And he makes this a part of his pitch every single time. I think it's the number one best thing you can do. Like really, number one, showing them that you have some confidence. We've talked about this a lot with model homes. Also, I do think that it matters to have a great looking website. But again, you can accomplish that with, like Mark is saying, with various themes. I'll show you some examples here really quickly. So if I search for, let's see, Seattle real estate agents. Okay, so this is my website. And I didn't custom build this website, Mark. I mean, it's a theme, right? This is Thesis 2, and it's got something called the Grind sub-theme, or a Grind child theme. So this is an out-of-the-box, something I paid a few bucks for, and then I just inserted some pictures, and this is a great-looking website. And this website looking so good landed me this client, which I'm about to show you. Actually, it helped me land 2 clients. So if I search for wedding cakes, Charlottesville. These are new kind of listings that they're doing. These new places, they're pretty neat. Okay. So look, same thing, right? Yeah. Same exact thing. But this woman Jenny, she saw the real estate site and she's like, I gotta have it. Okay. So that's what sold her. It wasn't even the SEO that sold her. Ultimately now that she gets phone calls all the time and so forth, she loves that. It makes her really happy. But it was a good looking website that sold her. Okay. And somebody else who was interested in this was personal injury. And this is the Grind sub-theme if you want to write that down. It's by, I believe, ThemeD makes it. So Thesis and Grind. Charlottesville. So once again, let's see. Personal injury attorney, Charlottesville. Just pull up the website here. Oh, personal. All right, here. So this is my site. And again, it's the same thing, just a very small tweak, just the charcoal instead of but it's the same thing. And he just loved the look of this site. So same thing. I'll show you another example of a site, and I'll tell you what the theme is. I think sometimes people really like to know what these themes are. Let's see. Colorado Springs veterinarians. Didn't really exactly spell that right, but Google will get it right for me. Okay, so this number 2 ranked site is mine. This is called Catalyst Dynamic. And it's the Tuscan child theme. And again, this is just a great looking site, and these people love it. Okay, so great. So, and this is the same one that I used for that site that you saw, oliviawild.org. So again, having a great looking website is one way of landing a client. Having some sort of rankings or some advertising that you're effectively doing right now, that's impressive to people. And then this one-man gang argument is impressive to people. Including if you say, like, look, I can do the great looking website and I can do the rankings and I can do it all quickly and easily for you, then that's very impressive to people. Okay. All right. This is a pretty fun technique. It's short and sweet. I think it's going to be pretty easy to understand. So if I go to Google and I search for personal injury attorney Nashville, then of course we're going to have the organic listings here, the local listings, and we're going to have the pay-per-click listings. We've actually found that the very best people to go to are the pay-per-click listings. So if you actually contact people that are already spending money on pay-per-click listings and they're not number 1 right here, then that's really persuasive. If you can say, like, listen.
To go for as clients, you mean?
Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
I
to shop
thought you
for
meant
clients.
to provide them pay-per-click marketing services. You mean?
No, yeah. This would be to provide SEO. You can also go to people who are ranking in the SEO and say, hey, do you want pay-per-clicks? Or do you want these local listings?